Hi, anxiety! Yay, the dark side of being turbo-self-aware and hyper-imaginative. Anxiety is your brain turning on you and trying to deconstruct itself. Generalized anxiety is a little more of a slow burn where you might feel the dark butt of the universe just sitting on your brain. You could feel hopelessness, dread, or the sense that you might die young. Anxiety is the great mimicker and can manifest itself in roughly 100 different other symptoms, each one designed to trick you into thinking something else is physically wrong with you. It's a bloodthirsty parasite. As the anxiety it seeds creates more anxiety, forming an endless loop of awfulness that sustains and strengthens itself. The physical manifestations of anxiety are truly fascinating. The fact that our brains can manufacture real symptoms that aren't linked to any actual maladies is miraculous in its evilness. Here are a few rad examples. Heart palpitations, trouble breathing, dizziness, blurred vision, feeling foggy-brained, tremors, muscle twitches, electric zaps, confusion, indecision, tightness in the chest, fear of losing your mind, fear of passing out in public, floatiness, nausea, tightness in the head, ear pressure. The list goes on and on. Hooray! Unfortunately, these symptoms are broad enough that they share common space with the worst diseases and disorders you can think of, which is why I implore you, as someone who is now committed to mental health, do not self-diagnose online. Let's take a sidebar. The web, a hypochondriac's lifeblood. Please do me a favor. We're friends now, right? Okay, good. Never go online to self-diagnose. Ever. Don't fucking do it. You might as well just ask Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to kick you in the solar plexus. Sites like WebMD should just change their names to enjoyyourcancer.com. There is simply too much symptomatic crossover to make the internet a place for the untrained nerd to get accurate information. Even if you're trying to find out why your cheek itches, you'll end up on some kind of British message board with a handful of people talking about how their itchy cheeks led to face cancer. And you'll be convinced you have it. I mean, you also have an itchy cheek. How could it not be cancer? Mainly because you can find out about anything on the web, and you stumbled upon the 5 people in the world who have it. If you think you have a problem, go see a trained physician. You might be a lot of things, but unless you are a trained physician, you are not a trained physician. If your car starts rattling, you don't spend hours in front of your computer reading about how the engine will probably fall out because that happened to a guy once. You get slightly irritated and make an appointment with a mechanic. If you think something is really wrong, go to a doctor. You will only see the worst things online and build a case in your head that you are dying. You're not. You will be okay. You're just too damn creative for your own good. Exit sidebar. Anxiety finds much of its strength in rooting itself in your past or future. I should have done A. What if B happens? A good trick for me was forcing myself to be present. Get out of the non-physical strata of the other 2 tenses and live in the present one. Sit wherever you are and notice 5 things in the room. Study their color, their shape. Do they have a smell? What is it? Experience your surroundings in real time. Do this for 15 minutes or longer if you want. And this accomplishes 2 things. Number 1, it pulls you into the present. And number 2, it throws your focus into the external world and out of your internal one. Panic attacks. If you picked up this audiobook, I'm going to guess that at one time or another you may have enjoyed the crippling embrace of a panic attack. How could I predict such a thing? Because people who suffer from panic, I call them what the shits, as in, what the shit is happening to me right now, tend to be smarty pants creative types, aka nerdists. I know this because when I initially wrote about this topic on my blog, the response was overwhelming. Most posts will elicit anywhere from 17 to 25 comments from the readers. This one had over 100. Comment after comment of panic-stricken humans relaying their experiences with a consistent tone of, "Aha! I knew I wasn't crazy!" Now, folks not blessed with the gift of hyper-self-awareness don't really understand the rush of liquid fear that floods the body. They just think we're being kooky. I have this joke in my act about trying to describe the feeling of a full-blown panic attack. Imagine being fucked in the heart. I had my very first panic attack at about age 10. Adorable! After helping to clean out the garage, I had picked up a tray of rat poison with my bare hands and thrown it in the trash. Later that day, after having eaten half a sandwich, I had a shuddering thought explode into the forefront of my brain. You never washed your hands! I was convinced that the flush I felt running through my body was in fact poison, shutting down all of my vital systems. Fortunately, I'm here to say that it was not poison, or if it was incredibly slow-acting poison. Maybe I should call my doctor. After that episode, I didn't get panic attacks again until college. Unaware of the concept of a panic attack, I was convinced that something was horribly wrong with me and I couldn't leave my apartment for a month. The prospect of having it happen in public kept me under emotional house arrest. And it wasn't until a friend of mine pointed out, "Oh, yeah, that's a thing. Lots of people have those." You know, the sheer knowledge that I wasn't a freak helped ebb the panic tide for a while, but every now and again I'd still get that hilariously familiar, no, wait, this time it's something fatal. But I'm here to tell you that not only are panic attacks not fatal, but I don't get them anymore. That can absolutely happen for you. In this chapter, I'd like to share a few tips that I've learned over the years while navigating the anxiety steeplechase. Keep your heart rate down. This could be the single most important thing to remember. It's easy to believe that panic is purely emotional, but it's not. It is physiological. Emotions may set it off, but once the trigger has been pulled, it is a 100% pure adrenaline, as Bodhi from Point Break would say. He would also say, "I am an FBI agent." And then we would hold him while rocking and patting him and saying, "Shh, of course you are." What your body is actually plunging into is survival mode, or the classic fight-or-flight response. This explains why you want to punch the air or run yourself into a wall like a 28 days later chimp. This impulse is left over from our forest-dwelling days and is usually reserved for the actual life-or-death situations. Think of it as an evolutionary gift that keeps on giving. And giving. Now, I'm not purporting to have a complete grasp of neuroscience, but if I were to take a guess, I would say that our brain isn't some wonder organ that all of a sudden just appeared from the ether and existed in harmonious wholeness. Sorry, Creation Museum. It is the result of millions of years and more of complex layers lumping over our lizard almonds like a bad spackle job. So when you feel that first twinge of panic, your body is asking itself, "Am I in danger?" And for panic sufferers, the answer is usually, "Why, in fact, I am!" Even though they're not really. That's just the brain misfiring, bless it. It means well. It's just trying to protect us really hard. The body then takes us down the adrenaline river ride that we all know and love, shedding our higher brain functions along the way until we end up a heap of panting flesh, not knowing which way to run, reduced to lolcat syntax as our means of communication. Me want tear skin off. It's a survival mechanism with abject terror as a delightful side effect. Well, let's examine that first point of entry. Am I in danger? Sometimes it might be enough to gently say no, or at least acknowledge, "Okay, I know what this is." But if that don't cut the cerebral mustard, then try to remind yourself how adrenaline gets through your body, through a fast-pumping heart. This is why it is crucial to keep your heart rate down. If your heart rate is slow and normal, you cannot experience a panic attack. It is impossible to exist in both states. Remember, this is a chemical thing. Rather than focusing on how you might really be dying this time, focus on the science of what's happening to you. Your instinct may be to fight, but that just makes it worse. Focus on actually making your heart beat slower. Pretend it's a game and first prize is sanity. Avoid caffeine. As you probably know, panic and caffeine have an electric sexual chemistry. The former comes right after the latter. Terrible pun, mostly not intended. About 8 years ago, my attacks flared up again after having been dormant for some time. Why is this happening again? I pondered over a nice hot cup of coffee one day about 5 minutes before another one hit. When I went over the timetable of events in my head, there seemed to be a connection. So, just for the hell of it, I Googled coffee and panic attacks and proceeded to enjoy the 2 million pages that popped up, warning of the atomic dangers of caffeine to the panic-stricken. I know coffee's a bitchin' dominatrix that kicks your ass through the day with a 21-ounce boot, but at what cost? If you can let it go, you should. You will experience almost instant results, like not thinking you're dying. Breathe, man, breathe! Just think, if you had a panic attack 500 years ago, they'd have thought you were possessed by some manner of dark spirit and you would have had the panic burned or bled out of you. Stupid Middle Ages. Today we know that simple yet proper breathing techniques are helpful with no loss of blood necessary. At the onset of an attack, it will feel counterintuitive, but you have to trust that it works. Take slow breaths, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Just let the oxygen fill your lungs and push your tummy out. Yes, I'm a grown man who uses tummy. I find it more palatable than food bag or shit garage. This process will help you in 2 ways. 1, a slowed heart can't pump fear through your body, and 2, the very act of focusing on a measured activity will take your thoughts away from your panic. Most people breathe very shallowly up in their chest, and this is very true of panicky types. especially when you feel your chest tighten. When you take a good, productive breath, your stomach should extend outward because you're getting air all the way into your lungs. When you exhale, your stomach will go back in, pushing the air out. If you can sit quietly for a few minutes while doing this, you will start to feel your chest relax and warm, tingly bits in the pit of your tummy. Imagine those are spreading through your body. You'll feel all keen. Remember, you need oxygen to live, so get that stuff into you. Take a yoga class, learn to meditate, buy some new agey book on breathing, play a sitar, whatever it takes. I hope you've gained some insight here, and that, if you are a panic sufferer, you know that you have hope, which sometimes by itself is enough to make the panic dragon stop dining on your soul. But keeping that heart rate below NASCAR isn't just for panic attacks anymore. It's also good for quelling anger, hysteria, and just plain old stress. The vanilla of neuroses. Why share my failures and deeply personal experiences with you? Because I want you to feel better. No one should have to live in fear of oneself, especially when the threat isn't real. Don't let your body trick you. Ignore that brain again. It is a process, but you can do it. If you forget all this stuff in the middle of the night, then transcribe the audio and tape it to your face. Just make sure you don't cover up your air passages. You might have a panic attack.